Oh, we don't. We don't sing. All right. So, all right, we're going to talk about building up your buyer pipeline, especially for 2024. And Todd, this is going to be really in line with your class that you're doing tomorrow, as far as building, business plans and so forth. The market is the market, and we always have to be constantly thinking about our pipeline.
Right.
And I think today's market, if you strategize and you handle it right, I think it's a big opportunity for us to build our pipeline. So we're going to talk about setting our buyers up for success and setting you up for success, and again, building that pipeline. So the first thing is you have to be. It's important to be
Good point.
transparent with your clients about the market. The market is the market. There's nothing that we can do to change the market. And if your buyers are not ready, they are not ready. And they may not be ready for a variety of reasons. A lot of people are just sitting on the fence because of market conditions, because of rates. Now, I personally still think it's a phenomenal time to buy. Investors are investing right now because numbers are numbers, and so forth. But we can't get everybody to embrace that, and I can't convince all of my clients and my future clients, can't convince them to align with my thought process and my strategies and how I invest. So we have to, when you're building up this pipeline and you have this sphere of influence and you have these people that you're talking with, there's a variety of different objections that they have. They might be really, really concerned about the economy. Now they might be really concerned about the war in the Middle East and how that's going to impact. They might be concerned about a recession, inflation, losing their jobs, and a lot of people are very, very concerned about interest rates. There's a variety of reasons that keep people from getting into the market. You have to identify whomever you're speaking with. You have to identify what their biggest objection is, and so with that, just be upfront about the current market conditions. We can't convince people who can't be convinced right now. You don't need to sugarcoat things. Yes, rates are high.
Sure.
So
Yeah, well, but they're right about just over the 40-year, 50-year average of 7.7%. So they're high, they're super high to people that haven't been in the real estate industry very long or in an adult very long. But if you have historical perspective to look at, that transparency says that actually the rates aren't bad at 7.75 in comparison. But again, here's kind of some things, Mike, on this one for me. The more you try to manipulate people to believe that, that when they're not ready to accept that belief yet, the more you push them away. You don't bring them closer to you. You actually create a rift between you, and they may not, take your phone call next time you call. So being able to have, although it may be opposite of what they just recently heard on whatever YouTube follower they're following, or the news or any of these kinds of things, that maybe they're not ready yet, but giving them nuggets for a period of time that allows them. And I don't mean just little pieces. Don't just talk and lay it out. I'm saying if you give them like a link to other people in the industry, give them an opportunity to really internalize some of this other information, possibly that will help them in making that transition.
and not everybody's like Nick. Nick is very easy to manipulate.
True.
I
I've
do
only
it.
been an
I
adult
do it
for a
all the
little bit of
time.
time,
Yeah.
No, I mean, I just on what you guys are saying, it's expectation setting is super important. But again, our clients are watching the sensationalism of the media, and so they don't know what is fact and what is fiction, and that's why they're working with a realtor. So your job as the agent is to have that clear, concise conversation. And when you sugarcoat or when you try to make things look better than they are, you're doing your client a disservice, and you're no better than the media. You need to be clear, concise, and show facts, and then they will trust you long term to help them with this transaction, because it is a little more difficult right now, but there are ways to navigate through that, and you as the agent should have those tools in your bag to do that for your client.
Yeah, and it's the old saying, it may not be now, but they'll I don't even know
Yeah,
what
they
the
come
old
to the
saying
realization
is.
that the information that
I'm
you're
making
providing
stuff up right
is
now.
Excellent
actually
saying, Mike.
better than the information. But that you've got to see the market. You've got to have that validation.
Look at that. Kyle's in the house. He's
Kyle. Kyle's always
morning,
around.
everybody. Good morning. I love that saying, by the way.
I'm just making things up. Mike Weinstein.
It doesn't fit on a bumper sticker. It's just too long. It's gibberish. But the point of the matter is, just because somebody can't buy now doesn't mean that they're not going to buy in the future. You can't force it. So
Or know somebody who's going to.
So when you have somebody that's just not ready to go right now, and we're taking into consideration of building that pipeline, build the timeline and strategy. So determine their tipping point. What are they looking for? If it's interest rates, ask them at what point is that rate become something that you can handle? And I've seen two different studies. Said one study said that majority of Americans are waiting for interest rates to get to 5.5%. I saw another study that said they're waiting for interest rates to get to 5%. But it doesn't matter. What is the tipping point for the person that you're speaking with? And because the tipping point is going to determine their timeline. If I know, Todd, if you and Lynn will not jump in the game until rates get to 5.5%. I've got to make note of that, obviously, in my CRM system. And I know now I kind of have an idea of the timeline. I don't have an end date. I just know when rates get to 5.5%, Todd and Lynn are ready to get in the game. And during this, and as you're building that strategy, it's still a great time to get them connected with a lender. And if your lender will not work with your clients because they're not buying today and are not going to give them the attention, it is time. It's time to shop for a new lender, and know what they need to get qualified or at qualified. Is it credit? Is it savings, or are they fully qualified now? Because I monitor and I keep track and I have conversations with my clients who are 6, 9, 12 months out, especially when it comes down to savings. And when I do my check-ins, how are we doing on saving? And where are we at with that? And how are we doing on our credit? But build that timeline, know the tipping point, and build that strategy with them.
Yeah, trying to determine that tipping point. I think Steve Delaviega said it best when he was on the show last month sometime, when he said, so what's the worst case scenario if they don't come down? Or things of this nature. It really kind of reframes the whole picture and allows the individual to talk through their own obstacle. And sometimes when they talk through their own obstacle, especially women do this exceptionally well. As they're talking, they're determining all by themselves. They didn't want a male to fix it or fix the problem or give them a solution. They just wanted to be able to talk about it, and eventually they came to their own decision. But again, the consumers kind of do the same thing.
Yeah, Nick's got a very low center of gravity, so it's very hard to tip him over.
It's true. I got a solid base.
I'm just on you all day.
It just never ends.
Okay. Well, I thought with Kyle in here, your guys' internal feud
Oh, his
was on
time's
that board.
coming.
Okay,
His
perfect.
time's coming.
Perfect. I do like that. So I guess in this specific number 2, I think everyone on the podcast and everybody listening would agree having your clients buy is better than them renting. So you setting up this timeline, you setting up this strategy, you are trying to better their lives by being able to no longer put money in someone else's pocket but their own. So if you're not having those conversations, again, you're doing your clients a disservice. If you're going with the mentality of trying to be an entrepreneur and helping your clients better themselves, which is what you should be doing, this is an easy conversation to have.
Ooh, helping your clients better themselves. That's a really, really good one. Mike, the other piece on this one right here is, I don't know if you're going to say it number 3, so I'm just going to kind of start it and stop me if you are. But the thing is when you're trying to set up a pipeline, you have to imagine that you've got 12 buckets, like a 5-gallon pail. And each of those pails represents a different month. And what you want to do, like in a spreadsheet or on a piece of paper or in, whatever you're using to track yourself, put down January through December. And then go through, and as you're talking to these people and you're getting an idea where they're going to fall, just put their name just their name under that particular month's bucket. And then when you go to look back at what you have coming up over the pipeline over the next 3 to 12 months, you're going to start seeing holes, places where you're going to have to develop some additional business. You're also going to see some opportunity with people that you don't have to repurchase. You don't have to go out and buy another lead. They're already there.
Yeah. And we're here to help better Kyle. Kyle, we're going to better your life today, Burrow.
Looking forward to it.
Come to business planning
All
tomorrow.
right. All right. And then obviously, then now you got to stay in touch with them. So obviously, put them on a search. If they are long term out and you have an iFound Agent website, I might even consider, instead of using Armless, to create that search inside your website. That way, they're getting used to being on your website, they're living on your website. Obviously, make sure that they have your mobile app and monitor the activity. But send them every single week, even though they're far out. You kind of got an idea of what they're looking for. You can send them a weekly featured property or a monthly featured property with something like, "Hey, I know we're a ways out, but just wanted you to see, what's available, what's out there." Keep them engaged, keep them excited about the process of buying a house. And the best way to do that is for them to actually, at least receive listings from you. And then, and this goes back to, my point of, signing up for Matt's Pulse. And well, that sounds kind of awkward, but his his event. You gotta stay in touch with the news. That's why, Todd, that's why you give us the numbers every single week. That's why Matt's in here. And set up those Google searches. When you have applicable news about whatever, going back to what their tipping point is and what their objections are, stay connected with them, and you have to check in at least once a month and make monthly calls or video text. One of the things that Ryan and I do is each month for our guys over at Luke Air Force Base, we put together a 2 to 3 minute video. If you're sending a video text, 2 to 3 minutes might be a lot, but it's kind of our sweet spot. Ryan talks a lot more. But send them a video text. Just, hey, checking in, just to let you know this is what's going on in the market. This is where rates are. That now that as of today, the conforming loan limit is now up to $750,000. That should be all over social media. That should be a video text. That should be something that you're communicating with.
I love, Mike, that was a mic drop. No pun intended. Actually, pun intended. But here's the thing.
Did you hear that, Kyle?
It's on the dashboard now?
There you go. We're teaching everybody like salivating ducks. Okay, so here's the thing. So staying in touch, this is an important thing. But again, if you're looking at this from, I want the maximum amount of readership, I want to reach as many possible people as I can in the shortest period of time. Mike, you and Ryan have been doing these shorts for now a year or more. And so think about this, everybody. If you only had to have your phone focused on you, and you were going to just do a little snippet, and that snippet was 30 seconds or less, and all you're doing is making them aware, here's what's changing. The loan limits on, conforming loans have just gone up to $750,000. What does this mean for you? If you're not sure what this means for you, click on this link here or go to this link here, and boom, you're setting yourself up for, helping persuade that individual to change their thought process from number one.
Boom.
I
saw a post on the agent forum, which is my most favorite place ever in the whole world.
All of us,
where an agent had said, "What's the use of having websites in 2023? Why not just use the Armless portal? Why not just use this service or this service?" And it was the same old, well, agents are on Zillow and your clients are on Zillow anyway, and no one's going to find your website because you're not spending millions of dollars in SEO. That's not the point. You want to be able to send your clients to your systems. Right. If they're going to your website and they have a friend or family member that says they want to buy and sell, they're going to forward your website because that's what they're used to using. If they're just sending an Armless portal, they can't forward that to their friend or family and say, "Hey, look for properties here." Come on, guys. The app, the websites, these systems are yours. And yes, you can pay a little bit of money, but at least have a free website that you can have through what iFound Agent. It's simple systems that allow you to stay in front and connect and touch your clients.
This might be the time to restate these quick numbers. But in 1991, there were 1.2 million people in Arizona and 37,000 licensees, and 30% of the 37,000 were inactive. Today, there's just about 8 million people prospective in the state of Arizona, and there's 93,000 licensees. But again, about 30%, it's about standard number, are inactive. If you do the math and you just take the the active licensees from 1991 and you divide them or into the total population, and then you do the same calculation for right now, there are fewer agents per consumer in the marketplace today, dramatically. What's changed since 1991? Everybody's got a platform to be heard. And the problem with that is there's a lot of misinformation.
Yeah, and what does that agent say when they meet someone and that person says, "Hey, what's your website?" And he goes, "What's the point?"
Aren't you just on Zillow anyway?
Well, maybe I just need to go to Facebook and put my house on the market there.